and you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
Welcome everybody to Sim Racing Media, home tonight to the GUNR4sR Racing League, live from Homestead, Miami Speedway in Miami, Florida. These guys are looking to lock themselves into the championship race on November 8th. We have this race, and then November 1st they head to Martinsville. Last week, we saw Nick Snyder walk away with the win, locking himself into the championship four. Eric Jeffers led the most laps last week in Vegas with 69, and Anthony Japs finished third. So as we take a look here at the standings, this is around a 7. So if Michael Ayo Jr. just has a decent race, he'll probably lock himself in. Chris Gilbert, Glenn Stanley, Eric Shearer, Brent Cole, and Brad Lane are all looking to get a win this week or next week, or have a outstanding points day to ensure they themselves a spot in that championship race at Phoenix on November 8th. But these guys are hitting the track to qualify. Go ahead and take a look here. Like Brad Lane, he's one of the first out on track. Stop there. One looks like Michael Leo Jr. ran one lap and put up a 33.53. Ed DeBoer, a 33.57. Jordan Tanzanell, a 33.59. Brad Lane, a 33.63. Chris Gilbert, a 33.69. Eric Shearer, a 33.88. Michael Logsdon, 34.24. It looks like Glenn Stanley, Nick Snyder, and Reggie Packard has yet to come onto the track. While we wait, like they're finished and they're gonna grid up here, so shut this off and go to the grid. Like I said, Michael Leo Jr. is starting on the pole. Ed DeBoer to his outside. Jordan Tanzanell behind him. Jordan Tanzanell, it looks like Brad Lane is outside row 2. Chris Gilbert in the 35 Chevy will roll off P5. Eric Shearer, P6. Michael Logsdon. Nicholas Snyder make up row 4. Row 5. Glenn Stanley and Reggie Packard. And that is the field as they start. Go ahead and take a look here at the race info. This is Homestead, Miami. It is a 1.5 mile track. Track temperature is 123 degrees. Ambient air is 87. I am Mike Demoni up in the booth as usual. Looks like we're waiting on a couple cars to get set here, and we'll be down to get this race going. Homestead, Miami, you do kind of want to be up close to the wall as those tires start to wear. As we saw in the Cup race over the weekend and in the Xfinity race. You can run the middle or high line, but once your tires start to wear, you definitely want to make your way towards the top of the track. You can be faster up there. Tire wear is going to be something to watch out for. As well, as these guys get all set here. Pace lights are out on the pace car. Make their way through 3 and 4. Michael Leo Jr. is down and away, and we are off. Jordan Tanzanell is right behind him. Ed DeBoer staying up in that high line a little bit. Mike Leo Jr. moves up closer to the wall on turn exit. Kind of fan out behind this top 3 here. We got Chris Gilbert down on the inside, Brad Lane up high. And the 05 of Nicholas Snyder was kind of driving that middle lane. And Eric Shearer in that 22 Ford is working his way towards the top. Definitely keep a lookout for these playoff drivers here. Michael Ayo Jr.'s sitting in second place, plus 24 from the cut line. Looks like Jordan Tenzel is kind of following him through there. Ran the fastest lap that time with a 33.73. Ed DeBoers following them. It looks like they're all pretty much staying in line. You can see them kind of fan out when they come to the corners. Everybody kind of picking a different line. Looks like Chris Gilbert, that Celius 35 Chevy stays high, but everybody else kind of works their way through the middle and on the bottom. Trying to make some passes here. It looks like the biggest mover right now is going to be Glenn Stanley. Glenn Stanley right now, as they sit, is +4 after Vegas last week. Working his way up through the field after not throwing down a qualifying run. Drivers trying to get towards that high line a little bit more as Chris Gilbert makes a pass on Brad Lane. Looks like Jordan Tenzel is working that low line as Michael Ayo Jr. goes middle to high. Definitely wants to get out to that wall as quick as possible. Looks like Tenzel led that lap, but Ayo Jr. is coming back. So they will continue to battle back and forth. Chris Gilbert sitting just behind them. Running, looks like a car length up the track from that white line. If you guys are joining us on YouTube, definitely subscribe, turn on the bell notifications as Chris Gilbert just makes that pass on Michael Ayo Jr. for second place. Jordan Tenzel's out to the lead. Brad Lane also making the pass on Michael Ayo. Side by side, they go through that corner. We saw in practice, it gets a little sketchy on corner exit. They try and get back to that gas a little bit too soon. Glenn Stanley's making his way up even further. Looks like he passed a couple more, and he's looking to pass Ayo Jr. Which would help him on the point standings here. Ooh, sideways he goes. Glenn Stanley gets spun and down into the inside wall. Caution is not out. Looks like he got spun off the racing surface. If we can go back and take a look here real quick. Looks like he just gets sucked into the side of Michael Ayo Jr. and spins right in front of him. Nothing he could really do about that. But while we were away watching that, Gilbert and Tenzel battling back and forth. Gilbert's riding the wall, kind of like that old Larson line. Where Tenzel's down on the inside, got a little loose there. Looks like DeBoer got a little loose coming off of 2 there as well. Eric Shearer takes the spot away. And back up front, they're battling back and forth. Chris Gilbert's got a little bit of run, and you can see him fan out again when they go through 1 and 2. That 63 likes the bottom, and the 35 likes the top. You can see they just get barely off the wall there. As we are now through 12 laps of 110. There will be a stage break at lap 30. Brad Lane looks to the high side of Tenzel. And Lane's going to be able to complete that pass. He's been running in the middle of the track through the corners, losing a little bit of time. But when he comes to the straightaway, he gains it back pretty quick. As you see Gilbert get a little bit loose coming off a 2 there. But he's still staying up pretty close to that wall. See if we can see how close we can get to watching him come through on turns 1 and 2 here. Let's flip to that camera here. And as you can see, he'll come through here momentarily. But look at how close he's getting. You can just see it almost touch that wall. But he's still able to maintain that lead. Tenzel and Lane battling back and forth. Lane on the high side and Tenzel on the low side. Nicholas Snyder's looking to make it back-to-back wins here after last week as well. Leo Jr. is back in 5th after fading back a little ways. Ed DeBoer, Eric Shearer, Reggie Packard, and Michael Logsdon are off the pace a little bit. And Glenn Stanley's quite a ways back after getting some damage on the front end of that car. After getting sucked in to the 77 there. Tenzel's starting to make a little bit of comeback on the 35. But that 35 is still running up towards the wall. Not quite all the way there, but pretty dang close. If he were to get loose, that backside would just touch that wall. Tenzel jumps in behind him for a moment and then goes down to the inside and gets a little bit better run. So we'll see if he's able to cross him up and float up in front of him this time, or if Gilbert's going to maintain in his position. Like he's just to the door. We'll see if Tenzel gets a better run coming off of 3 and 4. Looks like he has it for a little bit, but Gilbert's been getting a huge run coming off the corner as Tenzel gets a little bit loose. You saw that back end just shake out from under him. Able to gather it in, but he did lose a little bit of speed, and Gilbert's going to try and make that pass back. Brad Lane. It looks like Gilbert got a little loose and lost all momentum there as everybody jumps on board and makes the pass. Tenzel, Lane, Snyder. It looks like Aleo Jr. is going to try to as well. But not quite going to. Looks like Gilbert got it gathered back in and is on the move towards the front again. Reggie Packard is in the pits, going to get service this time. Snyder and Aleo Jr. battling it for 4th and 5th here. Aleo Jr. down on the inside. And Gilbert just gets loose again. That back end shook out from under him and he darted almost towards the wall. Looks like we got about 10 laps to go. And Tenzel has started to gap the field a little bit, has a half second over Brad Lane. Nicholas Snyder and Chris Gilbert battling it out back here for 3rd and 4th, with Leo Jr. just kind of sitting back. Trying to get those all-important bonus points. For the stage here. Like you have to be in the top 5 to get them. I imagine we're going to see Gilbert try and battle a little bit harder maybe. Gilbert's plus 12 right now, so not in too much danger. Brad Lane is trying to get all the points he can get as Chris Gilbert gets loose again, coming off of 4. Dives down to the inside, is able to gather it in. Brad Lane right now is sitting in the bottom in the round of 7. 8 off of the cut line. And it looks like with Stanley Shearer and Cole, but Cole didn't show up tonight, so with Gilbert, it looks like he's heading to the pit, so he will not be getting any points in this stage. So Brad Lane looks like he'll gain a few points there and not be quite so far out of it. With one race left, and it being Martinsville, the short track, never know what's going to happen there, as Brad Lane now jumps to the lead and is trying to get as many points as he can. Right now it'd be a huge boost to him if he were to win this stage and nobody else able to get any points there. Because Snyder doesn't need him, and Aleo Jr. is 24 above, so he won't affect it too much. But with Stanley Shearer and Cole, we'll definitely get some points there, as we're 5 laps away. Brad Lane leading this race. Tenzel trying to come back on him on that inside lane. Oh, looks like Snyder got loose coming off of 2 down the backstretch, is able to gather it up. Did not touch anything, but just got sideways there. So it definitely looks like tires are going to be the order of the day here when they come to pit lane after the stage break here. But Brad Lane is 1/4 of a second out over Tenzel. Aleo Jr. about 2 seconds back, and Snyder's quite a ways back there. So Lane and Tenzel, Leia Jr., Nicholas Snyder, Ed DeBoer, Eric Shearer, Michael Logsden, and Glenn Stanley. And it looks like Gilbert's sitting in the pits for quite a while here. Tenzel's making the pass on the inside of lane. Like lane got a little bit loose coming off a 2. I've seen that happen quite a few times off a 2 and off a 4. The tires just have gone away. But it's still going to be a pretty good day, or start of the day, for Brad Lane here as we're working through lap. As the caution flag waves for the stage break. Burton Tenzel, Brad Lane, Michael Ayo Jr., Nicholas Snyder, and Ed DeBoer all pick up stage points there. Looks like Reggie Packard has called it a day. Chris Gilbert is still in the pits. Trying to get it fixed here. Everybody's headed to pit road for those 4 fresh Dr. Feelgoods. Make their way down. Everybody should be getting 4 tires. Fuel. Go racing off pit road. Looks like Nicholas Snyder did not go to the pits. Oh, he's headed to the pits now. So Jordan Tenzel is going to inherit the lead. Brad Lane will sit P2. Michael Ayo Jr., Ed DeBoer, Eric Shearer, Michael Logsden, and Glenn Stanley. They get this. Well, looks like Glenn Stanley's gonna hit the pits again because he's gonna try and fix all that damage he had done to that nose when he hit the inside wall. Nicholas Snyder's sitting in there for quite a while too. Chris Gilbert as well. Like Snyder was in there for 52 seconds trying to get some of that damage fixed, and Stanley as well. Like he's trying to get as much damage fixed as he can under this caution without losing too much time to the leaders. Like we'll probably get him stacked up here this time. We'll have Denzel on the inside, Lane on the outside of row 1. Vallejo Jr. on the inside and DeBoer on the outside. Here. And Logson. Then Snyder's coming in. And Stanley will be following him shortly. Go green this time by. Denzel has the button. Pace car will dive off to the inside. Get to that restart zone. Denzel is down and away. Able to get almost a quarter of a second gap right from the beginning. Brad Lane drops down behind him with those fresh tires. He's going to try and run that lower line. Looks like. And Nicholas Snyder is making his way through the field. And it looks like Michael Logsdon a little slow to get going. Chris Gilbert did make it back out on track. Ed DeBoer in between Snyder and Stanley. It looks like Vallejo Jr. is going to try and make his way back to the front as Stanley gets turned down to the inside, able to save it and keep going straight. Definitely not having a day. Able to gather it in and get back to going here. Vallejo Jr. did make that pass on Brad Lane. Now he's looking to pass Tanzel. Vallejo Jr. up on that high side. Running about the middle of the track right now. And when he comes off the corner, he'll be right next to that wall. But he's just able to stay in front of Tanzel. Tanzel's running that bottom line along with Lane. Lane was running that high line for quite a while. Eric Shearer making his way up to the back of his top 4. Looks like he's going to look to the high side of Lane and make that pass. He's got a huge run coming into 3 and 4 here. Is able to move up into P3. Looking for more as he gets towards the back bumper of that 63 Chevy. He's got a heck of a run there. Not quite going to be able to make that pass. As we go back through the field, looks like Brad Lane is going to have Nicholas Snyder to deal with shortly, as Chris Gilbert is down a couple laps, but he is running pretty fast lap times. But he just has to Basically, look out for these lead laps cars. See here, we got like Stanley's down to the inside, gonna try and pass DeBoer, but DeBoer has a high line and he's able to carry that momentum off the corner. Leo Jr. started on the pole, fell back a little ways in stage one, now is making a massive run towards the checkered here. He's got almost a second lead over Eric Shearer. Jordan Tanzel's a little ways back. Brad Lane and Ed DeBoer is running a higher line than almost everybody else on track and is able to carry a little bit of that momentum coming off the corners. So as these guys have settled down a little bit, we're going to go ahead and take a break. I'm going to go side by side. You won't miss anything. Once again, if you're on the YouTube channel, definitely hit the subscribe button, turn on bell notifications, and I will be right back shortly. All right, welcome back, everybody. As I said, you did not miss a thing. Leo Jr. is still leading this race. Eric Shearer up to second place. Jordan Tanzel in third. Brad Lane in fourth. Nicholas Snyder in fifth with Ed DeBoer just to his outside, trying to make that pass. Like he's able to carry it through the straightaways, but just kind of loses a little bit of time in the corners as he gets a little bit loose there. Glenn Stanley, Michael Logston, Chris Gilbert's a few laps down after coming in close to contact with the wall. But this race has been kind of dominated by the top two here. Michael Ea Jr. started on the pole, fell back a little ways. Looked like he was probably saving some tires or something to that effect. And then after the stage break at lap 30, been basically like a rocket ship. He's gapped the field by second and a half almost now. Jordan Tanzel just made the pass on Eric Shearer and is now in second. Shearer's clear up into the wall almost. Like he might have just got a little bit loose there. And now he's trying to find a spot to go as he's just that back into that car. Just all sorts of loose coming off the corner. Maybe he used up his tires a little bit too much trying to get towards the front. If we can see if he's got any. Ooh. as Nicholas Snyder jumps in front of him there. Almost a little too close for comfort. You can see several people having a little bit of trouble coming off of exit of the corners. They start to float up closer and closer to that wall. Michael Ayo Jr. was out to a second lead, but Jordan Tenzel is pulling him back in slowly but surely, lap after lap. Brad Lane is running up in the top 5, been running there all day. Nicholas Snyder has been running at about between here and 6th or 7th, and after starting towards the back of the field here, he is up 4 positions to P4. Glenn Stanley is sitting in P5 after having a couple issues early in the race and spending a little extra time on pit road to get that thing corrected. Eric Shearer was up front, or towards the front a little bit earlier in this run, but has fallen back almost 4 seconds off the lead right now. Ed DeBoer is running pretty competitively there as well, but has since settled down towards the back here. Jordan Tenzel was able to make that pass on Michael Ayo Jr. Go back and take a look here. And see how he was able to do that. He just got a bigger run there. Went into the corner, able to. Looks like Michael Ayo Jr. might got a little bit loose there, but he was able to complete that pass. Now Ayo Jr. has Brad Lane on his back bumper, looking to pass him as well. Brad Lane kind of sat back a little bit at the beginning of the race and slowly made his way towards the front. And it looks like that's kind of what he's doing again. But these guys will have to make at least probably one more pit stop. At least for tires, because we saw how fast the wear just kind of took them away. But Tenzel is out to almost a second lead now, as Brad Lane made that pass on Ayo Jr. Now Ayo Jr.'s going backwards again. Ed DeBoer is in the pits. See if Snyder's going to be able to make this pass here either. Snyder's starting to close in. It's almost to his back bumper. He's going to have to dive down to the inside. Ayo Jr. floats up to that second seam on the track there. And Snyder's able to save it. Looks like Tenzel got a little bit loose, as did Brad Lane. So both the lead pack here, the 63 and the 10, got loose as they come towards the start-finish line. Brad Lane on the inside, Tenzel on the outside. Side by side through the corner. Brad Lane has a little bit of a lead as Tenzel floats up the track just a little bit. We'll see who has a better run coming off, as Lane stays about in the middle of the track. after they both got loose last time in that spot. So here they go again. Looks like Lane is just going to start pull away again. We saw him able to do that a little bit earlier as Eric Shearer's in the pits. As Nick Snyder gets a little loose coming off of a 2 there down the backstretch. Brad Lane, Jordan Tenzel, and Nick Snyder are in this lead group. And Michael Ayo Jr. is falling back a little bit. Quinn Stanley is about 7 seconds off the lead. Michael Logston is coming into pit road this time. We'll see what the pit strategy is going to be and what it's going to call for. As we are over halfway right now. Michael Logston still sitting in the pits. Nicholas Snyder has moved up past Jordan Tenzel. But Snyder not necessarily driving away from him. As Tenzel gets a little bit loose, Snyder as well. These tires are definitely going to play a role when we have about 49 laps to go. If the cars that elected to pit earlier are going to be able to make up the time that they're losing, or if they're going to be a little bit faster when they come back on track and make up for it. That time by Brad Lane ran a 35.42. The guys on fresh tires ran a 33.67. So second and a half, a little over. We'll see how long Brad Lane and Tenzel and Snyder elect to stay out with only 10 cars in the race. You have to figure that it's probably going to be long green flag runs here at Homestead. Lane's out to over a second lead over Tenzel. And Nicholas Snyder is dropped back to third now. We see Ed DeBoer, who pitted on lap 55, making up some ground, trying to get his lap back the hard way. He's down to the inside of Tenzel and just passes him like he was almost staying still. As Tenzel gets loose. Snyder down to the inside, going to try and make the pass. And he does. Crosses him up and goes right back to that high line. Tenzel stays about in the middle of the track. And around they go. That little bobble by Tenzel cost him a spot as Snyder is in P2 now. Tenzel's been able to battle back and get that spot back every time he's lost it almost. Ed DeBoer able to pass Brad Lane and get his lap back the hard way here. So you can see just how important tires are. As Brad Lane's last lap was a 35.48, and Ed DeBoer, after he got those fresh tires, was a 34.15, and he's starting to pull away from Lane now. We'll see how long they elect to stay out. It looks like Eric Shearer, after pitting, is also making his way back towards the front, or towards the lead lap anyway. That's to catch Brad Lane here, and he'll have his lap back shortly. He's running a 33.85 to Brad Lane's 35.45, so that 22 Ford should be able to make up this ground and make a pass relatively quickly here. Looks like he's already caught him. Going to stay on the high side. Brad Lane's been running that bottom this time after running the high side in the first stage. Maybe he learned a little something and is trying to save his tires a little bit. But he is losing time. And he will have to pit, so see how fast he's able to make that pit stop as Ed DeBoer and looks like Glenn Stanley. Looks like it just Ed DeBoer is closing in on him, 34.82 that time. He is on the lead lap. So he's coming through backstretch now, and Brad Lane is on just on the backstretch. Imagine we're going to see Brad Lane come in any time now with about 40 laps to go. Which one of these leaders are going to blink first as Tenzel is able to make that pass on Snyder and get back into P2. Leo Jr. still has him pitted, as well as Glenn Stanley. Oh, we got a minute. Let's take a look here. So right now, Nicholas Snyder, he's going to battle for the championship regardless of what happens this week or next week. Michael Leo Jr., he's hitting plus 24, currently running 4th. Chris Gilbert, rough day, running 9th right now. He is plus 12 after Vegas. Glenn Stanley running 5th, plus 4 to the break. Eric Shearer is minus 4 right now. We'll see if he's going to be able to make up any ground. Brent Cole's not here, and Brad Lane is currently leading this, but he is 8 points out. He is having a good day as far as points go at the moment. We'll see what these last 35 laps have in store for us shortly. As we do that, let's just do a little turn it up segment here. Take a ride around and watch these cars go around the track. Right back shortly. Looks like Mike Aleo Jr. was the first one to blink here, and he is coming down pit road. See what, see if anybody else is going to elect to follow him down here as well. Brad Lane still is hanging out. Denzel as well. Snyder and Stanley. So from this lead group that is yet to pit, Eric Shearer is only 10 seconds back. So they will be definitely giving up the lead. If they don't pit soon, it's going to be almost a certainty unless they can get out and get back up to speed pretty quick. As Stanley hits the pit lane. So now there were 3, Lane, Tenzel, and Snyder. And Lane is still staying out. Ed DeBoer hit the pit lane as well. Snyder down. I imagine we're going to see Lane and Tenzel here shortly. They will have the fresh tires for the last 30 laps of the race. Like he is coming to pit lane this time by. Tenzel as well. He got a little bit loose coming in. We'll see after the cycle here where they all cycle through, run down the field as soon as the pit stops are completed. They get back going here. Shearer's gonna inherit the lead. Brad Lane is just now off of pit lane. Denzel got a little bit more time on pit lane. As Logsdon and Aleo Jr. both pass as well. Brad Lane's able to get back up to speed before Aleo Jr. can catch him. Looks like he is able to. Look at the gap between first and second right at this moment. It's 12 seconds, but it's closing quickly. The fresh tires on that 10 Chevy are making that Hooters car move up almost at will here. Gap was 13 seconds when Lane came out of the pits, and now it's down to 10. The Exide Ford is losing time. He last pitted on lap 58, so he's on 20 lap older tires. So we'll see if he's gonna try and come in and get one more set, or if he's going to try and make it to the end. But having that old of tires, it might be a little rough when he gets to the end of the race. Here is leading, but now the gap is down to 7 seconds. Brad Lane is just a straightaway back. Leo Jr. back there as well as Denzel. Pit stops kind of spread out the field a little bit here. Not too much battling going on track at the moment. But Lane is closing on Shearer. He's down to under 5 seconds right at the moment. He's running almost 2.5 second faster lap times than the leader. See if the 22XI, yes, he is going to come to the pits to get 4 freshies. He is giving up spots, but as soon as he got tires last time, he was able to drive up through the field. He's doing a little bit of different strategy to try and make up as much ground as he can with the race that it has been. Down to 25 to go. Number 10 Chevy of Brad Lane is back out front, leading Michael Leo Jr. by almost a second. Throw this up here real quick. So Brad Lane from Savannah, Georgia, P1. Michael Leo Jr. from Greenwich, Connecticut. Vern Tenzel. Nicholas Snyder from Marco Island, Florida. Quinn Stanley. Mike Logsdon. Ed DeBoer, Cadillac, Michigan. Eric Shearer from Bismarck, North Dakota. Chris Gilbert, just south of me, Colorado Springs. Reggie Packard packed it on the truck. So Brad Lane is out to over a second right now. Once again, if you are in that YouTube, you can go ahead and hit that subscribe button, turn on bell notifications. Get in the chat, let me know who you think's going to win. Is Brad Lane going to be able to hang on and bring home the W? Or is another driver going to make his way towards the front and give him a hard time as Jordan Tenzel makes a pass on Michael Leo Jr. for second place. Tenzel's back up towards the front again. He's been battling all day between 1 through 3. Currently sitting in P2. Got a couple biggest movers between two guys that didn't qualify at all today. The 05 Nicholas Snyder currently qualified for the championship race, up 4 positions, as well as Glenn Stanley's up 4, currently sitting in P5. But back up front, Brad Lane. So while we are 20 laps to go, I'm going to step aside, go side by side. You won't miss anything as usual. And I will be back shortly.
drivers that took time, all of them within 3.5 tenths of each other tonight is going to be a very closely competitive race.
As the field works its way out of the 3-4 complex, the only thing that's left to say is wipe the visor, adjust the 5-point safety harness, because race fans, it's showtime!
Some amazing looking cars already. Green flag will fly.
Oh, the rocket! Well, one thing that you're going to see at this track that we haven't seen the last few weeks is a surface that's multi-group. I think this is the first multi-group surface we're going to have.
After an amazing race at Daytona, we now come to the West Coast and Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California for the second round of the Way She Goes Racing League Cup Series.
All right, welcome back, everybody. If you didn't miss anything, Brad Lane is still your leader. Jordan Tanzel, Nicholas Snyder, Michael Ayo Jr., and Glenn Stanley. So we got 16 laps to go. See if Eric Shearer, he's on the freshest tires, last pitted on lap 84. See if he can make this work. He just has passed Lane and Tanzel, and they're right in front of him and make up a lap. But he has 15 laps to do it. Tanzel and Lane last pitted on lap 78. Nicholas Snyder last pitted on lap 77. Aleo Jr. on lap 74. So we'll see if Jordan Tanzel's back there trying to run smooth lap times, it looks like. Not trying to overdrive the car. We saw when these guys started to get a little bit squirrely. Was at about 20 laps, and they're getting pretty close to that now. So we'll see if they're able to hold it down here and make it to the end. "13 laps to go. Eric Shearer's trying to get back on the lead lap at least. Nicholas Snyder, Michael Ayo Jr., Glenn Stanley, Ed DeBoer, Eric Shearer, Michael Ogden. That is the 8 cars as they run on track right now. As Ed DeBoer heads to the pits, gonna need a little bit more tires, it looks like. So with 11 laps to go, Brad Lane is out to almost a second lead. Jordan Tanzel is sitting back in P2. Has a comfortable margin back to Nicholas Snyder, who is almost 6 seconds back at the moment. Alea Jr. is half a second back of Snyder, and Stanley is about 9 back. But with 10 laps to go, Brad Lane is looking to punch his ticket to the championship 4. and not have to worry about Martinsville next week. See how all the points will shake out after this race. I'm gonna say that gonna be pretty close between Shearer and Gilbert and Stanley. Stanley probably gonna drop a couple positions maybe to Shearer, or a couple points to Shearer. Gilbert's gonna go back a little ways as well. So we'll see what happens there. We got 8 laps to go. Lane is dealing with some lap traffic here of the 18 of Ed DeBoer. Brad Lane is about a second out. Looks like the margin has been maintaining here. Tenzel's up to the high side here. But with 6 laps to go, Brad Lane, Jordan Tenzel, Nicholas Snyder, Michael Ayo Jr. Five to go now. And Tenzel is closing in. Now he's down to half a second. Like Lane saw him closing in and drove away a little bit further. Got 3/4 of a second. Brad Lane, Tenzel, Snyder. Top 3. Looks like Lane and Tenzel will decide this with 4 laps to go. Lane has drove a little bit further away now. Now it's like out to 8/10. Almost out to 9. It looks like Lane might have saved just enough tires to make it a little bit better. Have a little bit better car than Tenzel does. Jump up here. 2 laps to go. Brad Lane and the Hooters number 10 Chevy is out to a 1-second lead over the Ally Bank 63 Chevy of Jordan Tenzel. Brad Lane will take the white flag this time by. Final lap. Coming through 3 and 4. Brad Lane will win the Dixie Vodka 165 at Homestead Miami Speedway. Second was Jordan Tenzel. Nicholas Snyder going to cross the line for third. Michael Ayo Jr. in fourth. Glenn Stanley in fifth. Eric Shearer, sixth. Ed DeBoer, Michael Ogston. So there you have it. The Dixie Vodka 165 from the GUNR4sR League. Let's see if we can get a hold of anybody here. Doesn't look like... Oh, there they go. All right, looks like we got Nicholas Snyder. Let's grab him real quick. Hey, Nick. Mike up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Hey, man. Good run tonight. Bringing home P3, up 5 positions from where you started. Looked like it was kind of a rough night out there, especially on the exit of the corners.
Yeah, most definitely. It was just slippery loose coming off after about 15-lap run. If you run to top, it really just kills your tires early in the run, and you pay for it at the end of the run. And it's just, in my opinion, the cars are just sitting up too high and doesn't allow for, good racing and stuff, because, at the beginning of the run, it's tight, really tight, and just plowing the nose, and you really have to back the corners up to be able to get it to turn. And I wasn't best at doing that tonight, as we placed third.
Yeah, definitely. But you're already locked into the championship 4, so go through and go to Martinsville next week, and don't have to worry about too much. And then we'll see you back at Phoenix for the championship. Anybody you want to thank tonight?
Yeah, people that are, stuck around to watch the end of the race, but Martinsville, I feel, I don't know, I won there in the spring. It's probably one of my better short tracks, and then Phoenix is also another one that I'm really good at. Just looking forward to the next 2 races, and hopefully we can go back to back.
Awesome. I will let you go and get back to celebrating your P3 finish. And maybe I'll talk to you in a couple weeks.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Jordan, Mike up in the booth. Got a copy?
Yes, sir, I do.
Hey, man. Heck of a run. up front battling most of the night. Just didn't quite have enough to compete with Brad late, but heck of a run anyway. Finished P2.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I mean, the car fired off good at the start of the race, and only thing I did was just kind of take it nice and easy because I knew the tires were going to fall off pretty good. So I let everybody else take off in front of us, and then once I got into the lead, I just kind of stayed there and kind of maintained my distance between me and Brad, and just try to keep the tires underneath of it, which was the hardest part. Because I mean, dang, that setup was crazy all day. It was one of those tight going in, and it was tight in the center, and then loose off, and then on a long green flag run, it would still be tight in, but they would just be wrecking loose in the center off. So you had to try to keep the tires under it. So I did pretty good on that to get the stage win, but Brad must have learned something riding behind me, because he was just too fast after that. Like I can maintain with him, but I could never gain on him. And if I got anywhere between like 0.7 of a second or so, I just couldn't gain anymore. I think just probably the aero and everything just making the car do things that I didn't want it to do, and couldn't really move around line wise too much because you'd lose too much time. But all in all, it wasn't a bad night.
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, you were up front for the majority of it, so congrats on that. Looks like you're just running for wins now, so definitely not a bad spot to be up front anyway.
No, unfortunately, I'm out of the playoffs, and unfortunately, that was probably the best track if I was going to try to make the playoffs, if I was still in it. But it's just been one of those years where have good runs and not so great finishes, or a couple good runs, or even just wrecking out really early in the race, just trying to get a handle on these new cars and just frustrated with them. But
yeah, definitely. Anybody you want to thank for your P2 finish there?
Just Hendrick Motorsports and Team Ally for giving me a great race car. But other than that, I guess Voodoo Ranger for keeping me hydrated during this race.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to maybe talking to you in a couple weeks and in Phoenix, and we'll see what that brings.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
All right, race winner Brad Lane. How is it going, man?
Oh, it's good, going good, Mike. How's things up there with you?
Oh, not too bad. Couple little hiccups early, but not too bad. You were able to basically do away with the whole point standings and worry about getting into the championship race, and knocked it out with a win.
Yeah, I had a feeling that I had to miss last week's race, which really put me in the hole in the playoff standings. But I had a feeling that tonight had to be the night to win, because next week's Martinsville. I'm not really strong at short tracks, but I do circle Homestead on the calendar every year because I feel like I'm pretty fast here, and I can kind of hold pace towards the end of the race.
Definitely seemed to you were able to gain a little bit of time. It seemed like the longer the run went, like you gave it up a little bit at the beginning, but once that car or the tires started to go away on some of the other guys, you were able to maintain your pace and pass them with relative ease.
Yeah, I purposely kind of laid back, the first 10, 12 laps of a run. I saw some guys that were overdriving, not running the right line, run a little higher, which is, an advantage at the beginning of a run. But I just, the first stage, I ran my traditional line in the middle. I've ran that for years, and I realized with this setup in this car, it wasn't, the tires fell off really fast. So I just stayed on the white line the whole race and just tried to run the bottom as much as I could. Man, this was a handful. I mean, we had a lot of guys talking on the radio about how loose and just snappy loose the entire time we were, and it was a fun race, but it was challenging.
Yeah, it definitely looked like it when you guys were coming off of off of 2 and 4 there. If you got on it just a little bit too soon, kind of wiggled, and you guys were able to pretty much maintain it, but just lost a little bit of ground there.
Yeah, the transition here coming off of especially off of 2, the banking, it drops tremendously when you get on the back straightaway. Turn 4 is sort of like that, but turn 2 is totally different, and the car will just snap without any warning. So it was challenging. I'm sure the broadcast showed a couple guys snapping loose there and getting sideways, but I was able to maintain all 4 tires, trying at least going straight and keeping the rubber on them, and it was a good run. I appreciated running Jordan there. Him and I, we finished 1-2 here in the Xfinity and the Cup Series a lot over the past few years, so it was fun to race with him again.
Well, awesome win. Anybody you want to thank for that run?
Yeah, I got some friends watching. My parents will watch, and we always kind of talk about it the next day of how I ran and some crazy stuff that happened. So I'd like to thank the support and friends and family watching.
Awesome. Well, I will let you go celebrate it, and congrats on locking yourself into the Championship 4. And maybe I'll talk to you again at Phoenix.
Yeah, hopefully so. Yeah, thanks for putting on the broadcast tonight, and have a good night.
You too. All right, that was the race winner, Brad Lane. We're going to go ahead and go through the final results here of the Dixie Vodka 165 at Homestead Miami Speedway. Brad Lane was able to bring home the win, locks himself into the Championship 4. Jordan Tenzelli in second, Nicholas Snyder third, Michael Ayo Jr. fourth, Wynn Stanley fifth, Eric Shearer sixth, Ed DeBoer seventh, Michael Logsdon eighth, Chris Gilbert and Reggie Packard round out the top 10. Was a short field, but these guys definitely put in the work, and you could tell it on track. Once again, for everybody here at Sim Racing Media, I'm Mike Damoni, and I will see you all in a couple weeks. Good night.